So, I remember playing BattleBit a few months ago and thinking to myself, man, this game is lightning in a bottle. I mean, it was everywhere, from TikTok to YouTube to the front page of Steam. This little game that no one had heard of was setting records and doing so just by offering gamers something they already knew about, like prox chat.
Who wants to see me kill myself?
But that formula felt way too simple to be true. I mean, sure, adding something like prox chat to Battlefield seems like a no-brainer, but hindsight is 2020. There's no way the formula for a good game is that simple, right? Yeah, they just got lucky, right guys? Like, an indie game setting records like that is so rare. It's never gonna happen again. Well, I mean, what's 2 good games in a year? Oh, okay, well, at least we still have Pokemon. What the f is happening? So, over the past 4 months, I've had more fun with gaming than all of the last few years combined. Open the fucking... No, open the door. Open the fucking door. I'm gonna open the door. It has just been banger after banger after banger, and what's crazy is I'm not the only one who's noticed. With each new title, it seems like record after record for sales and player counts is being broken, and well, it's just insane. BattleBit hits best-selling game on Steam, only for Lethal Company to double it, and well, it's getting ridiculous. As I'm writing this, Palworld has hit 2 million concurrent players. 2 million! And trust me, we'll get to it. But Palworld, as of right now, selling 7 million copies in its first week is kind of insane because Scarlet and Violet sold 10 million its first week. It's actually rivaling a Pokemon game. And well, for all these games really, it's easy to chalk it up as, oh well, games blow up every year, right? What really makes these 3 special? Well, they're not AAA.
Call an ambulance! Call an ambulance! But not for me.
See, while Spider-Man 2 cost the same amount of money to produce as some countries' entire GDPs, Lethal Company and BattleBit, 2 games that, by the way, have their roots in Roblox, are outselling everything. You know what? I want to play a game real quick. I'm going to put 2 games on the screen, and I just want you to tell me, just by looking at them, which was made by a multi-billion-dollar company and which was made by a team of 10 people. Can you tell? And look, I'm not here to add to the dog pile on Game Freak because, frankly, it's such low-hanging fruit that I never even felt the need to make a blank sucks video on them because, well, everyone knows. But what I am here to talk about today, and really to celebrate, is how these 3 games, well, 4 if you count the finals, discovered the secret to really making a good game and getting people excited to play it just because they listened to players. Now, first, let's get the elephant out of the room. Is Palworld a scam? Well, Palworld undeniably is taking advantage of a door Game Freak left open. Are a lot of its models questionable? Yes, but guys, none of us are copyright lawyers. Shut up about it. If I see this goddamn image one more time of a copy-paste whataboutism, I'm gonna scream. Because the difference between these 2 images is really fucking simple because, you know, the ones on the left aren't Pokemon just by looking at them, where these, well, it's a little bit more egregious. Does Pokemon have the right to every animated bat, animal, or whatever the hell because it's in a cartoony style? No. But that is literally Giratina's face. But it doesn't matter what I think or what you think. None of us are copyright lawyers, and none of us work in Japan where this lawsuit would even be settled because they're both Japanese companies, so just stop talking about it. If you think it's morally bad, don't play the game. If you do, leave the Pokemon guy alone. He's just upset that Game Freak doesn't care. I would know. I'm one of them. I want to be very best. Like no one ever was. You think I like this slop? You think I enjoy this? No! And I don't think there's really any reason for beef with Pokemon outside of the models thing, which should definitely be investigated. They don't own the concept of pocket monsters. Digimon and Bakugan have existed for ages, and frankly, that's the only thing these games have in common. Palworld is kind of a completely different game than Pokemon, and that's kind of the good part. There's no turn-based combat, there's no evolutions, there's no linear gameplay designs. It's not even Pokemon with guns. It's Arc with Pokemon that just happen to also have guns and you could maybe start a sweatshop with, okay? It's only successful because Pokemon has been asleep at the wheel for 10 years. We can all agree on that? We can put the pitchforks down, please? Okay? All right, cool. Back to the fun part of the video. That's transition. So, where was I? Past 3 months, 4 really good indie games. Oh, right. Games being good. Palworld and really all of these games are proof that to be successful, and I mean successful, you really don't need to reinvent the wheel. You can just improve it and add in what gamers say they like. Oh, Hey, it's the first one. You see, one of the more beautiful things about the internet is, the whole information thing. Now, yeah, there's a lot of noise out there, but as someone who's been a part of the online gamer community for a long time, I can't help but wonder how so many requests and ideas simply go ignored. BattleBit in the finals being the perfect example because, as I showed at the beginning, people have been asking for prox chat in Battlefield for a surprisingly long time, and the finals is really the core gameplay mechanics of Battlefield that people really liked, which makes sense because it's the original devs. And that's kind of the crazy part to me because both these games are really taking what Battlefield did well and kind of running with it. Ever since Battlefield 4, people have been screaming to go back to the modern days and just have fun with it, but what has Battlefield done? Oh, right. They made garbage. And with the finals, it's really all of that classic level destruction that, again, people have been screaming for. And I get it. With all of these huge astronomical budgets, one dead game could be the end of an entire studio today, but that's all the more reason to listen to people. I mean, how long have people been begging for a co-op Bethesda game since, what, Morrowind? And before you say it, no, this is not that. You know it's not. It's fun to play now, sure, but it's not that. Shut up, Todd. For all of the flack that Starfield got on its release and post up until now, which, yeah, this game's kinda dookie, I don't understand how co-op wasn't on the table or at least thought of. Sure, the game is basically hopping from fishbowl to fishbowl with loading screens in between, but hey, at least you could have gone through it with a friend, right? And I'm not gonna get into it with Power World because, well, we know. But with Lethal Company and all of its success, I honestly feel super vindicated. You see, I'm sure most people who played Lethal Company are at least familiar with its supernatural cousin, the game Phasmophobia. It's another game where you and your friends get in and get out of a location and try to avoid all the horrors inside and survive. But the biggest issue these types of games have is that if this loop isn't fun to do or gets boring after you go through it maybe 2 or 3 times, people aren't gonna do it. With Phasmo, after you complete the handful of maps and see most of the ghost encounters, there's really not a lot of sauce left on the plate, and you might be thinking, oh, it's an early access game and it's on Steam. Surely they have workshop support or community support, at least just to keep the game going, right? No. Yeah, the craziest part about Phasmophobia is that the dev refuses to add modding support, ever. And when I asked about it, in the politest way possible, because I'm a little angel and genuinely, I just thought Workshop was a good idea and was just asking if it was being pursued, because I liked the game at the time. One of them told me their game had a strict vision and they didn't really want fans messing with it and content would come when it came, which in most cases would be totally fair. If you didn't also immediately tell me to go play a different game and that artistic vision you had for your game was a bunch of Unity assets you flipped. What vision are you protecting? Phasmophobia is just full of base Unity assets, so why do you care if your community's gonna make content for you? Mods are cool. It's free content and what basically equates to free money. That's the one thing Todd's got down. Why finish a game when the community can make it for you? Oh, because if the game's not good, they just wanna make stuff for it. Oh, yikes, buddy. But no, you're right. Modded support would never, ever help a game like yours, right?
Lucas?
Oh, it feels good to be right. Lethal Company, whether consciously or not, saw how much players love modded content and said, yeah, go crazy. And suddenly, the burden of 2 years was lifted off my chest. Lethal mods have it all, from skinwalkers to new skins to new dance emotes, new maps, butt plug controller. What? Why would you need that? Okay, maybe the Phasmo devs were onto something, but the point is the community could do what they want, and that was pretty cool. They enjoyed it. I need to switch topics. And this kind of gets into my second point, because if there's one thing gamers like getting more than what they asked for, it's getting surprised with something they didn't even know they wanted. Like that. I feel like some people wanted that. This is that whole reinventing the wheel part I was talking about earlier, because you really don't even need to start from scratch here. BattleBit is already a great version of Battlefield, but throw in prox chat and suddenly the game has a whole new life on top of it.
Fucking suck a cock.
The finals adds an incredibly high-paced game of race to that thing over there, die trying, on top of its already fun class system. Lethal Company says, hey, Phasmo's fun, but what if we up the silliness and get rid of the guessing game and add mods so the community can shine? And Power World, well, it didn't just look at Pokemon's lack of innovation, but also it looked at art, where one of the biggest gripes people have with that game is the grind of resource collecting and just, survival games in general, and Power World read the room and put the pals to work. Am I the bad guy? No, I am. Oh, yay, legal action. At least shut the door if you kick him out, please. Being a fan of Pokemon is a lot like having a deadbeat dad. He was like really cool in high school and you hear all of these cool stories, but whenever you see him, he's really just asleep on the couch or doing whatever, and you don't want to bother him, but at the same time, you really wish he would just put the effort in and try to show up. It would be so easy for him to make your day, but he just he never does. Am I trauma dumping right now? Is Power World the Pokemon game of your dreams? Well, probably not, but that depends on you. There's no linear story, there's no evolutions, there's none of really what makes a Pokemon game as you think about it, but you know what there is? Dungeons and bosses, exploring empty fields, building, resource collecting, breeding, and so much more. And the best part is you have complete freedom to choose any of them in any order you want. Power World is kind of like the stepdad of Pokemon games. No one really asked for it, but it came in, it showed up and said, hey, at least I'll try.
Hey, what the hell are you... Oh, one more time.
It's a modern looking game with a fun twist on survival crafting and Pokemon, which is a pitch that works for so many already because, well, people just like Pokemon. Yeah, that's one of the bullet points. People like Pokemon. It's my video. And the invitation that Power World gives players of, hey, I'm gonna show these little guys some love finally, is already enough to get a pretty large amount of people to pay up and jump into their game, but even that doesn't get these numbers, so what gives? Well, there's something on this list that I've saved for last because it's easily the biggest thing to learn from, and really, it's the #1 selling point of all gaming bangers ever. It's just one phrase. Oh, hey, you can play this with your friends. How 99% of games aren't co-op in some way blows my mind because, hey, you see this graph? Yeah, this guy gave it to me. But what it shows you is basically the percentage of people that play Power World that also own these games. And you notice something? It's almost like people like co-op, Todd. There's just nothing like hopping on a game with a friend or shouting at and bonding with strangers. It was kind of the best part of the Xbox Live era because so many of those games were co-op or ready to play online, and really, that's probably why people miss couch co-op so much because, let's be real, who's having people sit next to them play a video game anymore? But even look at Fortnite's success with Fortnite Festival, which you're never beating my score on, Buddy Holly. But it's really just a good time to hang out with some friends. Oddly enough, we've seen AAA games remove social features, whether that's emblems, talking in public lobbies, or really the removal of all gaming third spaces, watch this video, for a more sanitized and lifeless approach. And that's a shame. The Last of Us multiplayer game was completely canceled, but oh man, I'm so happy for the third remaster in this series. I don't want any other games remastered, just The Last of Us. No, I've been too bad for that. I can't commit to this bit. I'm just gonna pretend there was a transition. We've done a lot of talking in this video about what these games do have that makes them great, but you know what they don't have that makes them even better? Microtransactions, padded out content, shady cosmetic systems, or, you know, any other BS practice done to offset these insane development prices. It's a simple math. When the average AAA game costs over $100 million, they're forced to squeeze every penny out or else, well, they're gonna go under. But hey, geniuses. What if, and hear me out for a second, you just don't overspend? All these years with a focus on bigger and better and shinier and more realistic rope physics have all ballooned dev cost and time to such insane lengths and lost scopes, but you know what was completely forgotten? The fun. Look at Lethal Company, BattleBit, Valheim, The Finals, Power World, and you know what you see? Games that not only don't cost $60, $70, but also games that prioritize the fun first and still outsold Call of Duty. These are all relatively small games in scope, but aim to do what they wanted to do right and throw in some surprises there. Because the biggest problem I see with games, most recently, let's say The Suicide Squad, is very simply no one's asking the question, who is this for? But with that, I'm gonna leave the video up to you guys. Thank you to the Patreon homies. I love you. And look at guys, we got a video out within 2 weeks. Look at, oh my God, he's back. I can't wait for him to disappear for another month.